people watching, my name is James Bowerman. I'm a realtor with the Real Creative Group of Douglas Realty. I work out of Pasadena here in Maryland, and today I have Travis Clay. So Travis, tell us a little about who you are and what you do.
What's up, James? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it for the platform and everything. I hope everybody is well, staying healthy. My name is Travis Clay. I'm a ACE certified personal trainer here in Severna Park area. I do work at a local gym here, Rockwell Fitness, in addition to have some outside activities, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But what I do is I help people return to an active lifestyle by building foundational principles, of fitness and health, regardless of circumstances. And I think that kind of applies to our current situation right now. And I think you kind of lended yourself or previewed what we were going to talk about as far as, being home and, the fast food, the ordering, all that stuff. And we can get into that later. But yeah, man, that's basically it. And as far as, what my I guess my goal is, for right now for everybody is to kind of give each other a break. We are in a difficult situation, kind of accept where we're at and think about and become aware of what we can control. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's good advice. I would definitely say we're in an extreme circumstances here. And we were chatting the other day, just, again, reiterating the fact that we're stuck at home, the gyms are closed. One thing that you mentioned in particular is just the fact that because we're not really going anywhere, even just walking to our car, driving to the store, and from the parking lot to the store, and all these different things, it adds up to a lot of additional physical activity throughout the day. And now we're losing that. So I thought that was really interesting. So let's talk a little bit about that and how maybe we can make up for that loss of physical activity.
Yeah, man. So one of the things that I became aware of, I'm a big proponent in tracking things, writing things down, and becoming aware of, what my traits or what my habits may be. I'm a creature of habit. So I'm the first week or so, I was completely thrown off. Like, what am I doing? I get up at a certain time. I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then. And then I was taken out of that comfort zone. It was kind of like, all right, what do I do? Like chicken with its head cut off. But the one thing that I did realize is because I wear a wearable tracking device, an Apple Watch, is I have set up each day daily movements, and I was coming under that almost every day, and I was still working out and still training the same way that I used to, but I wasn't training clients. So I wasn't walking the floor, I wasn't walking to the bus stop. I wasn't walking in the grocery store as much. Can't go out and just, window shop, so to speak. And I'm sure in your profession as showing houses, it's the same case. You just aren't able to do those daily activities that you become accustomed to that are just subconscious to you. So one of the things that I, am a big proponent of, again, is tracking things, is writing stuff down. And then you have to do it intentionally, right? So if I'm losing all that subconscious or those daily activities that became just, normal routine to me, then I have to go out and I have to intentionally replace those. And for me, it's been, walks, it's been yard work, but doing things almost like I would do a training workout each day, right? Like I have to program that in, or I have to time block some time for me to actively move around, to get out. And there's a variety of ways to do that. So
it's interesting with the Apple Watch, which automatically tracks certain measurements, and I'm very much the same way. I know some people are not like that at all and are probably going to struggle when it comes to tracking. But if you can track it, you can measure it. And
Mhm.
that's been critical for me for my business and, for physical activity as well. Um, so what are some of these things you think we should be tracking? That the Apple Watch tracks steps, I guess, is one of the big ones with that, and the Fitbit. Um, is that like the most important thing we should be looking at to increase? Because I definitely, the silver linings to this whole thing. I see more people out. I see people
Yeah.
walking around the community, which is really nice. Getting the exercise, getting some vitamin D, as opposed to just being, sheltering literally in their home.
Sure. Yeah. So a couple of, if you don't have a wearable device, a Fitbit or really anything that tracks you, you should shoot for, about 60 minutes worth of movement should do you good. And you can break that up into times of the day that, work better for you. For instance, I have an 8 and a 7-year-old. And for me, a lot of times the morning works well right after when we do school. So a little bit after 12 o'clock time, noon. And then, early evening type times is what works best for me. So I try to shoot for, going for a walk at that time, doing some things around the house, like some chores around the house. There's honey-do lists, right? That, never got done that we still don't seem to want to do those. But that, and then, your workouts. And again, you can break those down, but getting about 60 minutes worth of just movement total should do you about right there, get you about the 10 to 12,000 steps. One of the things that I started to do is we are homeschooling the kids, and so I have them split up on different levels. So I have one upstairs and then I'll have one downstairs. And what that forces me to do is go up and down stairs, right?
Creative.
So these are just little things that you can add to kind of force yourself to move. You can do the same thing with the food, right? Like maybe if you have 2 refrigerators, one being downstairs in your basement, one being upstairs in the kitchen, or one being in the garage and one being in the kitchen. Kind of force yourself back and forth between these 2 areas. Not only is that creating a level of movement for you, but it's also keeping you from just grazing or snacking, right? If I don't have the temptation, or if I know I have to go out to the garage, or I know I have to go to like a different level to get the easy access food, right? The things that we probably shouldn't be eating or typically graze on because it's high in fat, it's high in salt, it's high in sugars, it's processed foods. Those are the things I'm probably going to have to, 1, I'm going to think about it more, or 2, it's out of sight, so it's out of mind. 3, I have to move to get it. So there's a couple different benefits with regards to that. So, kind of forcing yourself to go, maybe almost out of your way
Yeah,
to create some movement.
I like that. Making it difficult on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, to put those foods and let's talk a little bit about the food stuff too, because I found personally myself, you're home, you're bored, and essentially what I think it comes down to is like, oh, let's eat something, and then it's like you run out of things to do. Maybe we should eat again,
Mhm.
and having that stuff. So, aside from hiding this food or not buying this food, I know it can be somewhat of a challenge going to grocery stores, and some of the shelves are cleared off, and you kind of just you got to work with what's available at the time. What are some things that maybe we should be doing as far as our nutrition and our eating habits?
Mhm. Mhm. Good question. Good question. So, along the lines of tracking the movements, I think a wonderful start for people, because we've just been thrown like completely out of whack. We have the opportunities throughout the day to hit the snacks. We're inside a lot more. So, we're going to check and see if there's different things in the refrigerator, different things in the pantry, still the same stuff, right? And you only have so much willpower throughout the day. And if I go there, 6 to, 18 times, on the 18th time, I probably am going to indulge in that, right? So first thing is, if you can, keep it out of the house, right?
Yep.
That's the best case scenario. So for me, and for most people now, right? We're probably not going to the store as much. So if it's out of the house, you're probably not going to consume it, right? Because you're going to have to put your mask on now. You're going to have to drive to the store. You got to go, down one-way aisles and all that stuff. So that's the first thing. If you can't do that, what I would suggest doing is what we talked about just a second ago, is moving that stuff where it's a little more difficult for you to access it. So it's not just like, okay, right here next to the refrigerator. Okay, I can easily grab it, right? Giving you a little bit more time to think, well, am I really hungry, or do I really want to walk downstairs to get that? So that's another a tool that I've used. And then the third, which I find to be like the most valuable, and especially working with new clients, when we talk about nutrition, tracking it. So actually writing it down, and I always suggest people getting like one of those black and white composition notebooks, right? And they may be laying around now because we're homeschooling, but or any sheet of paper, writing it down, exactly what you're eating, okay, what the time of the day is, and how you're feeling about that. And those are good indicators of why you're eating, right? So like maybe there's specific points in our day that we're eating. Either it comes down to, I'm hungry, I didn't eat enough, I haven't had that meal yet, right? So maybe I'm hungry. The second one being, maybe it's a stressful situation. So, stress is a trigger for me to eat. Actually acknowledging that and being aware that, okay, I'm in a stressful situation. It's not that I'm hungry, I'm just stressed. And therefore that's why I want to grab, whatever it is, the potato chips. Becoming aware of that is extremely empowering. And then the third thing that there may be is the fact that there's two more. One, you may be thirsty, right? So having water around you at all times, as you become thirsty, your body may indicate that you feel hungry, right? The last one being sleep. And if you are asleep, we are going to have a lower level of self-will because we're tired. But also, we want almost like quick fixes. There's the sugar fix, the quick carbs into our bloodstream to give us that energy boost. So if we're tired, our body's telling us, okay, maybe we're hungry, just because we want that boost in energy levels.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think writing down, that's never been something I've been able to do as far as like tracking my food, my intake. I think partially because it was just so monotonous, but you're the first person I've heard say, like, also write down how you're feeling when you're eating, because that I don't know, that was really interesting to me to really be able to go back and to look at that and connect it with, why you're eating that one thing or whatnot. So good stuff. And then the willpower, that's also, I've read, I forget the name of a book. There's definitely a good one out there that talks about willpower and how it's something that you can basically build up and improve on, but ultimately it's like a muscle and it will get tired. Mm-hmm. And, after being aware of it, then you can kind of recognize it and experience that, like in the beginning of the day, your willpower is strong. And then by the end of the day, you're tired. You're like, okay, chips, ice cream, whatever. Let me just hit that junk food and then go to bed, because you totally have no more willpower by the end of the
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, man. That there's a good book I read. It's called The One Thing, and it talks about the willpower throughout the day. I can't think of the author's name. Maybe we could put it in the comments section. But
Yeah.
The One Thing, and it talks about the willpower throughout the day. And I think you, as a business person, probably know or have read somewhere. Put the important stuff first, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The
The
stuff
things
people
that have to get
head
done.
from. Yeah.
Yeah, the things that have to get done, you should put first. What we like to do is we put those last, and then what happens is, we've done all these urgent tasks throughout the day, and let our mind, race around with it, that we become exhausted, right? And at that point, we're like, oh, too tired to deal with this.
Yeah.
The same thing can happen with our food choices. There's so much going on during the day, and there's so much that we're probably thinking about, even subconsciously, worrying about, okay, my job, how am I going to get it done? How am I going to school my kids? Am I going to get a workout in? Like, oh my God, I'm tired, just all this stuff that we're concerning ourselves with that we really can't control, and it's wearing us down. And by the end of the day, it becomes easy for us to be like, well, I got nothing left. And then that's where preparation comes in, and having some healthy selections on hand, so that even if you are at that point where you're low willpower, and you may grab a snack, the choice is actually going to help. If you're grabbing a piece of fruit, or you're grabbing some vegetables, or if you have some pre-made meals, like, you're not going to snack beforehand, because you don't have to sit there and cook, right, while
Yeah.
we're waiting.
Eliminating those obstacles. Yeah. What just maybe what are some of your favorites, or what do you recommend? As
Like,
far
on hand.
as healthy alternatives, things that we can be snacking on. Essentially, you mentioned fruits, you
Yeah.
mentioned vegetables. I think obvious ones, maybe not the preferred choice, but is there anything else that somebody might be? Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. For me, it's there's a lot of fruit in there, because I'm more of like a sweets person.
Okay.
So something that I've been doing recently, at least dessert wise, has been like frozen Cool Whip type thing with like a cup of fruit.
Yeah.
People have always talked about your smoothie shakes. Those are always a good alternative for you. Um, Vegetables with a healthy dip, some hummus, is always good. I try to stay away from like the granola, because I find that there's high calories. Same thing with nuts. I tend to take maybe too many, like 10 almonds is just not that's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
But as opposed to like the healthy snacks, you kind of got to get to the root of that. Like, why am I snacking? Right. And that's where it comes back to, writing stuff down. Am I snacking because I'm hungry? Am I snacking because I'm stressed? Am I snacking because I'm tired? Because if you become aware of those things, as opposed to snacking, go lay down, go take a nap, turn on some mindless Netflix, right? Like, watch the what is it, Netflix, that's the Tiger King, right?
I,
That was absolutely terrible. I fell asleep in the only 3 episodes that I watched. So if you're looking to fall asleep, put the Tiger King on.
there you go.
You know, give your like, let your mind relax, right? Um, so it really comes back to, as opposed to healthier snacks, like identifying why we are snacking. Are we not getting enough food, right? Are we skipping breakfast? That's a big one. Are we waiting too long for lunch? Are we getting the right amount of water intake per day? So those are all things to look at, as opposed to, there are some healthy options, right? I'd rather see you snack on a bag of carrots than snack on a bag of chips. But I'd rather see you identify why we are snacking, as opposed to healthy alternatives.
Gotcha. Now, are you an advocate for, like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Should I spread it out? Should I have 6 meals? Should I eat breakfast? Tell me a little bit more about what your thoughts are on as far as like how often we should be eating.
Yeah, so I never give anybody like a specific what do you want to say, regimen as far as their nutrition. It's kind of like a trial and error process, right? It's whatever works for you, because there are some days that I can get in like the 3 meals and they are they're all like timed out coordinatedly. But there are days where it's just not going to happen, right? Like today, I had a workout that I was leading with a men's accountability or challenge group, and
Okay.
so I went from that into like a banana to my coffee, and then all of a sudden we were right into school, and it was 1:30 before I had even had anything to eat, and I was starving at that point, right? So um, from there, I still went into the same type of lunch, and then I'll probably have, or I'm sorry, breakfast, and then I'll have lunch like after we finish this off. So I'll still get the 3 meals in, but I'm a kind of 3 to 5 meal type guy where if you need to have a snack, I'd rather it be like a whole food, like smaller meal portion, where you're having like an apple and some slices of turkey and maybe like a thing of cheese, or some lettuce wraps with the turkey, and then some water and that fruit. So
Gotcha.
um, it's really kind of like goes back to figuring out how you work and being aware of, am I hungry, and or am I tired, am I stressed, all those things, and then being intentional about your eating, right? Eating for a purpose of energy as opposed to eating for taste is a big one.
Gotcha. Good stuff. All right, let's go back now to the exercise part of it, because I know with gyms being closed,
Yeah.
people don't have access to regular gym equipment. They probably don't have their own home gyms, maybe a dumbbell or two, but you know that's a big challenge, I think, which is going to have the adverse effect of people, making it easier for people to work out. Now it's more difficult to work out and more easy to just say, I'm just not going to do it. So what are your recommendations as far as, like, other than the physical, like the walking and going up and down the stairs, are some things that you would recommend people try to do to replace what they're doing, or maybe they didn't go to the gym, but now's a good opportunity that they're at home, maybe they're more comfortable in this environment, they can start creating their own routine, and then when they come out of this, be in a better place than when they started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I would say even the avid gym goers, what I'm finding is my clients that were the avid gym goers, or the folks that were at Rockwell Fitness, you know, because they were there, they didn't necessarily have any home equipment to them. So now they're faced with this dilemma of, well, how do I work out the way that I used to? And that's kind of like Weekend Warrior Fitness, like kind of what I try to build, those foundational principles that we talked about, regardless of circumstance. So, if you're building a workout, it can be body weight, it can be just as effective as, if you're adding an external load, like a dumbbell or a plate or, kettlebell or something like that, if done properly. But to back up to your point and start with, working out, a lot of times what I'm hearing is people feel somewhat overwhelmed because of so much going on that they don't know when they can build that time. And so I would say, first things first is let's build some structure in your day and start to time block. And what that is just taking specific periods of your time am absolutely blocking that 20 minutes, that 30 minutes, that hour, and in your day that, I know it's not going to be the same all the time, but, you have the most control over, right?
Yeah, I'm a
So
big fan of time blocking. So,
yeah, so that's a good place to start. So like if each day, say around 2 o'clock seems to be calm in the house for the most part, like maybe we take 30 minutes then, and that's our time for ourselves to do an exercise, right? To have a workout routine. And this is in addition to the walking and the movement. And I like to start people at things that they can actually bite off and chew, as opposed to, well, let's get an hour's worth of workout in. Like, you tell me what you feel comfortable in, and then we'll build the workout around that. And so, what we work on with the foundational, skills and principles is, having a certain movements, 5 movements in each workout. So you're going to have some sort of squat pattern, right, where we're bending at the knees, some sort of hip hinging motion where we're bending at the hip for the back side of your legs. We'll have a pushing motion, right, whether it's horizontal pushing, such as like a push-up or a bench press, and then overhead pushing or vertical pushing, such as, a military press or overhead pressing of some sort. And then finally, you'll have your rowing motion. So rowing horizontally or rowing vertically in a pull, and then some sort of core exercise. Planks is the first thing that comes to mind, but there's a variety of, core exercises that you can do, including like a lunge, right? Where there's multi-benefits there. So if you can get those 5 things, and you can basically find that anywhere, right, on the internet, I would suggest, taking a search and finding somebody and reading their bio, or finding somebody that, you can relate to and follow them. There's a lot of good fitness professionals out there putting some good content up on daily. You can follow me. I'm putting out good content, as well as doing free Friday workouts each week. So, but if you get those 5 factors or those 5 different movements in, regardless of however long it is, like, you got a pretty good workout.
gotcha. Yeah. Personally, when I was doing stuff too, I also found that, like, the more complicated routines, I was working with one of your colleagues at Rockwell, and he was giving me stuff to do. And I don't know the names of these things, never heard of, right? And he's like, you got to do this and this. And I'm like, and I'm trying to remember the name of it and how it worked. And it almost got overcomplicated where, some of the stuff you just mentioned, that just squats or push-ups or like some of those simpler exercises, still effective if you do them. But I felt I stuck with that more when I had tried to overcomplicate it with these other exercises that I didn't know or couldn't even remember the names of. I really struggled with it. But I think since you mentioned it, you're putting out content, correct? So where can people find the content to see the stuff that you're doing?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is tclay2021. Instagram, Facebook, you can find me at Travis J. Clay at Facebook. Also Travis Clay Weekend Warrior Fitness. You can get me on YouTube if you search Travis Clay. Probably going to have Clay Travis pop up first. He's like a sportscaster. Okay. But if you put in Travis Clay, you will definitely find my YouTube channel. There's a ton of exercises out there on my YouTube channel that you can go to. In addition to, and I'll just plug this real quick since we're on we're on that kind of flow. So right now with Gary's Grill in Severna Park, I have a promotion going. So anyone that orders any food or groceries from Gary's, with their receipt, at the bottom of their receipt, they'll receive a promo code and instructions on how to receive a 7-day free workout, whether you have equipment or no equipment. So again, that lasts through Sunday. And then what I'd like to offer you, James, and your followers is the same deal. So we can talk offline as to what the promo code's going to be, but anybody that reaches out to you, I'd love to offer them that same 7-day workout. It'll come in a PDF file. You guys will have all the exercises, the sets, the reps, tempos if they're there, and then we'll also have the YouTube link on there so that you can correspond any of the exercise movements with a demonstration video.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's wonderful. And Gary's Grill, Smyrna Park.
Yep, right next to Rockwell.
Good place. So they're still doing carry out, I would assume.
Correct. Yep. They got they're doing carry out, and they're actually doing groceries like as a non-grocery store, right? You can order it from them and then just pick it up. Don't even have to get out of the car.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been great. I think very helpful and very appreciative too of the 7-day workout. I'm going to check that out myself because I've kind of fallen into that whole, struggling to stay active, kind of falling off the wagon a bit. But was there anything else that you wanted to add to cover before we wrap this up?
Like I said in the beginning, give yourself a break. It is, these are difficult times. I like to talk about the 5 pillars of health. We did the exercise, we did the nutrition. I don't think we talked about sleep, but sleep is very important. Recovery and connection. Doing things like this where you're staying connected with friends, family, colleagues. I just recently joined a men's 30-day challenge, which has been, I only know one guy in there, a guy I went to college with, and he invited me to actually do the workouts for the group. And then, they invited me to join. So this is something new, and I feel very engaged and connected. And, it's nice to relate to people that we're all going through this together. And sometimes we think that it's just happening to us, but connecting with people like yourself, James, and others out there, I think is wonderful. I've heard of Zoom happy hours. I've heard of Zoom game night. I've heard of, every Easter, Zoom Easter. We just did my youngest son's 7th birthday on a Zoom. So we just did
go back in time and purchase some stock in Zoom before this all happened.
I know, right? But I believe that staying connected with people is super important as well. So yeah,
that's a good point. I know that personal feeling being stuck at home and it's challenging. And I did watch something the other night about people were meant to connect, to be around people. It's not natural for us to be stuck in our homes and not be able to engage with people, and it's going to have even an adverse effect to our health and our immune systems, which actually makes us more vulnerable to if we were to go out to contract a virus or something like that. So well, this has been very good.
Yeah, man,
good information. I appreciate your time and for hopping on here and sharing everything as far as the exercising, eating healthy. I think people can really take advantage of the 7-day workout too. So I'll get with you offline to figure out how we can set that up. But if people have any questions, feel free to put comments, and we'll make sure that we answer those. If there's nothing else, again, thanks for being with me, Travis. And everybody watching, take care, be healthy, be well, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you having me.
My pleasure.